you've got to drive that business. And so, I think that was a big turn for me, realizing that I couldn't budget my way to profitability and that I was going to have to grow this business piece by piece by piece. And it's not a 1 year thing. It's not a 5 year thing. It's a forever thing.
Hey, welcome to 2025. We want to start off the year by highlighting some of our most downloaded episodes from last year. And we want to kick off 2025 with showing an episode with our dear friend and customer, Jacob Morales. Jacob stands for the highest of integrity, positivity, always extremely vulnerable, trying to always work on himself and improve so that he could give back to his team, his agency, and his community. And we tragically lost Jacob in a fatal car accident last year. And I hope that you listen to this episode just a little bit differently and understand, look, tomorrow's never promised. We need to make the most out of every day, starting today, moving forward, both in our business and our personal lives. And so with that being said, we hope you enjoy the show. Jacob, we miss you, brother.
Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and we are so excited to have a very special guest today. Jacob Big Premium Morales is in the house. What's going on, Jacob?
Hey, what's up, Michael and Courtney? Hey, happy to be here. I'm excited. I'm on fire. You could call it a buzz. So glad to be with y'all and excited for what we've got coming. A lot of good conversation on the way.
Man, we were just talking about this. We have not said we're getting buzzed on the buzz today in a hot minute. And look, I'm drinking a cup of coffee, which I never do on the buzz this late because I am already jacked up. But shit, who cares? Let's get buzzed on the buzz today, baby.
We got Big Premium. We got caffeine. Here we go.
All right, let's get into this. So, Jacob, you are now 3 years in, working on year 4. I would love to start because one question we always get is, Michael, if you're starting insurance again, like, what would you do all over? So, Jacob, what are like 1 to 2 things that you've learned over the last 3 years of your business ownership, agency ownership career that you would have maybe done differently or did completely new if you were to start agency all over again?
Man, I think one of the biggest things that I would change, knowing what I know now, is just going all in year 1. I remember I spent about 6 to 8 months on year 1 trying to budget my way into profitability, right? Trying to become more efficient in minute ways. But when you do the numbers and crunch the numbers, it still doesn't equate to where we need to be when we're trying to build this business and build it as aggressively as possible. So that's one of the biggest changes that I saw, really going in from production for the first 6 months and then switching over from month 6 to 12. When you've got that opportunity in front of you, and you've got to drive that business. And so, I think that was a big turn for me, realizing that I couldn't budget my way to profitability and that I was going to have to grow this business piece by piece by piece. And it's not a 1 year thing. It's not a 5 year thing. It's a forever thing. Realistically, we're always getting crunched by numbers, by gain, by policies that we lose. So just being able to shift that mindset, I think was one of the biggest things that impacted my business and really set us up like a rocket ship for where we are today. Being where we started and what we grew to, it was is a big change. I've got a quick or a simple saying that I picked up along the way, and it was there's a really easy way to solve a budget problem, and that way is more revenue. So I've kind of stuck to that, and it's made life a little bit easier as we continue to grow.
So I would like to dig into that just a little bit though. When you say go all in, because you said something, you can't budget your way to profitability, and I love that quote. That's a good one. That's one I have a feeling we're gonna have a social media clip of. All right, so, but when you say go all in, do you mean go out, get as many loans, like invest as much as you can into your business, take the hit for the 12, 18, 24 months financially, and grow as quickly as possible, as early on as possible?
I would 100% say that, especially as when the market also pulls you in that direction. I think you need to run as quickly as you possibly can. And not just in expenses, right? But how you live your life from a recruiting standpoint, from a team development standpoint, from a lead and community standpoint. There's so much that we do on a day-by-day basis that it's easy to get locked in these four walls. But the magic really happens beyond these four walls, especially when we're talking in an agent's office, right? Hey, if I'm out there, if I'm on my sales floor and I'm impacting my team, or I'm out in the community, there's a value to that. And your team feels that, your community feels that. And all of a sudden, you're not just talking the talk, but you're walking the walk.
So if you have this pile of money, I love this because this is what business ownership is every single day. We get a pile of money and we get to decide how we allocate these funds. So you're saying you would go back, you would go all in, and you would invest in your business. So with this pile of money, what are like the 2 or 3 things that you're like, this is where I'm going to put most of my money?
Yeah, marketing and recruiting. And not just recruiting, but also retention. So making sure that you're taking care of your team once you get them, once they're rolling. There's a lot of competition, not just in other, for instance, state farm agents, but farmers and large corporations that have different budgets than we do. So really being able to invest in those, it affects your whole culture. It affects how you walk in, how they walk in, what they see this opportunity as, not just with you, but for the potential in the future. They see you building this thing, and especially from being internal. I mean, I was an aspirant. I didn't have a job. I had a residency is what I had. But I also had that experience of knowing what I felt, when I felt, and how I felt it, right? Where I can alleviate some of those pain points for my team. This thing's not simple. It's not day one, you get in the business in the door, day two, you're producing. That's not how this works for most people. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes investment, reflection. There's a lot of pieces that you have to do. You have to be self-aware to understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, and what needs work, right? And be able to piece it all together. So it's a delicate process, but it's one certainly worth investing in.
I'm stuck on residency because I survived that as a spouse. Oh my God. There were so many moments that I'm like, I don't know who I married. I don't even know if this person actually exists, or if it's just like he's just missed.
Think about that though. When we were aspirant, you only saw me on Sundays.
Snuggle Sundays, baby.
I worked
Snuggle Sundays.
6 days a week, making a whole whopping $24,000 a year, baby. But we figured it out, man. Our 300 square foot apartment and everything.
But it was the mindset of we're going all in. We're going to completely bet on this dream. This is what we're investing in. So I'm curious because you said the same thing of like there was a mindset shift that happened 6 months in. Was there anything that you can attribute to that shift that made you
100%. A leadership conversation. We had my sales leader had an evaluation done on himself, and I was part of that evaluation. So it was not even focused on me. And had that leadership conversation. My world got turned upside down and my mentality changed from that day. So I still talk about that conversation with other agents. I'm appreciative for the conversation that was had, even though it seemed a tad bit intense, a tad bit, I wouldn't call it harsh, but for lack of a better term, it was a tough conversation when you're in there month 3 with a vice president and you're going, oh goodness, this is a little bit beyond my caliber here. And I just thought I was sitting on the sidelines, and I thought I wasn't the one being evaluated, right? And it turns into that. But I'm grateful that I got that feedback. I'm grateful that I took that feedback and then I ran with it. Because like I said, it projected my business further than I would have thought. And Courtney, this as a spouse, I remember year 1 saying, don't worry, baby, one more year and this whole thing will be different. And the next year came and it was like, don't worry, baby, I got this new hire. And after this, just this is the last year. We're going to be there. Right. So it took time to build. It did not, it incrementally got better, but nothing, I wasn't driving a Lambo around, year 2 or 3, that's for sure. It took some sacrifices, but again, for the growth that we had and for the team that we built, I'd do it all over again, and shoot, maybe I will. Right. So it's fun. That's for sure.
And you just said something that I think is also a huge takeaway. We've all learned that no new hire is going to save your business, right?
No.
they're the unicorn that we are all riding in every business. We're like, this is it.
This one's gonna be the one.
This is it. I just need a little bit of hope. Oh my God. You're bringing back like almost moments that I'm like, ugh, I'm shaking a little
kind of
bit.
forgotten about.
Oh,
like
I didn't forget
put
about
into
them.
the
I
corner,
pushed them down,
closed the door,
shoved them down, because one of Michael's favorite phrases for probably the first 5 years of our relationship, so business, entrepreneurship, everything, was, that is not part of our financial plan. That is not part of our financial plan. That was his way of politely telling me, no, piss off. We're not investing in that. So now when he reminds me of that, I'm like, oh, baby. Oh, we're making it a part of the financial plan. And I love that you said that in the beginning, because there's really only two ways that you can have more money. You either make more money or you budget and save your way to it. And I love your mindset of just make more money, because as an entrepreneur, you have the ability to write your own checks. Now we just got to figure out how to do that.
That's why you're in sales, baby. Like the more people
Yeah.
you help, the more money you make. Like it is easier to generate revenue than it is to cut expenses.
Yeah, that's no fun. That goes back to that's
Easy.
not part of the financial plan.
Now, Jacob, I got to be honest. With you. I'm a little heartbroken over here that you were like marketing and recruiting.
Oh,
Where's the training at?
I knew it. I knew
Hey,
it.
that was part of the
shit right now.
development piece. That was part of the development piece. We got to slip that one in there. That's part of the development piece, Mike, without question.
I heard it come across and I thought, oh no, I'm going to see a tiny
But
sob come out of Michael Weaver's eye.
It's okay. So,
But you know,
Jacob,
Mike, I think that's a good point. Let's touch on that, because you know, we talked about how I was internal and how I was an aspirant, and I came from an office. I had a wonderful mentor, and the knowledge and the way I do business, it was all formulated on everything that I loved about his office, right? But I've got internal experience, and not just 1 or 2 or 3 years of it, but like 4 to 5 years of it. I love training. It's one of the most important things to me. Like, I enjoy having the training conversations, but I knew that, you know, year one, realistically, I did not have the capacity to do it all. I could not meet with the customers. I could not handle every issue. I could not spend all my time training every team member or creating really a curriculum to be able to do so. And so that's when I found you and was like, man, there's a whole curriculum built out for me. I don't have to do it. I can let, you know, Weaver Sales Academy and their team do it for me. And then I can build out an enhanced experience based on those conversations. Doesn't have to end with you. The buck doesn't stop with you. It continues on to me. It's my responsibility to continue to push that development further and further. So for that, I do appreciate all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into the curriculum that you had, because you made my life and my experience a lot easier and a lot less stressful. So I'll give you hats off on that one.
well, no, man, you've been awesome to work with. You've been so fun to watch grow over the last 3 years, and I had to give you a little bit of shit, but that's just because recruiting and marketing are by far the two things that you need to be absolutely dead set targeted on as a entrepreneur and business owner, because you have to recruit people.
Mhm.
The fastest way to grow your business is through people. I believe that. All right. In marketing, you got to create awareness around your product. But in the insurance space, and I think this is in every organization, you can spend a ton of money on recruiting, but if you don't have the proper training system for your new hires, you are setting them up from failure from day one. People just don't get into this industry and they're successful. And if you do, you found a freaking unicorn, and you should consider yourself extremely lucky. And so training has always been a major investment into all of our businesses. And I think with those three, I think you're setting yourself up for major success.
So for me, when I look at this, it's almost like a funnel, because you're dumping all of this in with marketing and people. You're dumping all of these leads.
How
But
do you
then
maximize both?
there's a
though?
linchpin,
Yep.
because the thing that is most important in your business is sales. Always is. So you're
Yep.
trying to figure out, how do I get more sales? And if there is nothing there, if there's no training, no coaching, and no curriculum around, when people have the question of, now what? What comes next? And that's usually what a salesperson has, is, what do I say? When do I say it? How do I say it? And then I need to be coached on everything that I just did, and then rinse and repeat. But sales becomes the linchpin because there is no plan.
Yeah.
There's no, this is what comes next. And that's also from an opportunity standpoint.
It's how you max training and coaching is how you're going to maximize your marketing spend and your recruiting spend.
Mhm.
Period. That's how you maximize those investments is by making sure that you have a partner in place, all right, that will help you train your team on a consistent basis so that they maximize those marketing dollars and the people you're bringing in sets them up to win from day one because the first 90 days of anybody's career is by far the most important. So,
I get all fired up about this because you guys, when you make more sales and you help more people, which is a win win, you get to go on freaking trips. And you've been traveling. You have been on some trips. So tell me specifically how, and I'm going to dive into our program because I'm curious how you have implemented
mm,
this to not only be able to go on those trips. Like, what does that look like from a day-to-day standpoint? And then coming back from those trips, like, how are you getting back in the groove with the training? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, that again, that curriculum is key. I mean, especially in an insurance environment like we're facing right now, when you have those challenges around costs and what the consumer can actually afford, and being effective enough to be able to have those quality conversations and empowering and educating that customer to make that decision that meets their individual portfolio. I mean, gosh, it's not something you can just pull out of air. It's a constant need to be able to get better and become more effective as a sales professional. And so being able to leverage Weaver Sales Academy and look at maybe some objections that we're getting, or maybe just the inability to not seal the deal and to be able to go in there on a day by day basis and say, hey, here's what I'm struggling with. Let me go ahead and take some time, invest some of that, and figure out if I can become more effective in this area. If I can just turn that knob a little bit, just get a little bit more out of the presentations that I have, the calls that I'm making, right? There's so much energy and effort that goes into all of this. I tell my team members, hey, if you got to make 100 calls a day, make 100 calls. But who wants to do that? And for how long? I'd much rather be making 30 or 40 phone calls a day, digging up some referrals, being effective with the quotes that you do have in your pipeline and able to close that business. So that is the difference maker. And then not to mention, man, every Tuesday we train. Every Tuesday we've got a Weaver Sales Academy call. And to be able to come in here and practice and break out of that comfort zone and put ourselves into these challenging situations. I mean, yeah, it's a little stressful doing it in front of 150 to 250 folks. It's not, I mean, even me being seasoned and a little bit more comfortable with the objections, or it certainly puts you in a good headspace to whenever you face those moments of adversity on the actual phone call, you've been there before. It's more comfortable. It's more natural. You can make that close happen. You can do that bobblehead close and hear that customer going, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, let's go ahead and start the policy effective 6/15. That sounds good. Yeah, I pay with Visa or MasterCard, right? Mm-hmm. So it's having that is vital. And that's not even the best piece. The best piece is y'all, the asset that y'all bring to our teams. I have new employees right now, and we go through the training process and they do the 10-day onboarding and then the development curriculum after that. And I'm like, have you reached out to Michael? Have you reached out to Courtney? You should. They're there for you. Whatever questions you've got me. Because I can beat a dead horse all day long, but sometimes it just takes another voice to make that coaching a little bit more effective. And so to have y'all, I bleed blue in this instance when it comes to Weaver Sales Academy. I'll tell you that much. It's a privilege, and it's certainly had a large impact, not just on our ability to win, but also just our culture. Them knowing they work for someone that's willing to invest in them, mm-hmm. willing to spend money on resources. I tell them, hey, this is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to grow it professionally, but also personally as well. It's got to be all of it, right? Because if we're not growing, we're staying stagnant, and there's someone else out there that is grinding away, that is growing, and man, they want to beat us bad. And so it's great to have everything that Weaver Sales Academy offers to be able to combat that and come back even stronger.
Well, Those are very nice words, and we
I'm
appreciate
gonna
you.
package that up, and I'm gonna play that every morning when I get up in the morning. I'm gonna overlay the Rocky theme song, and it's gonna be like, "You are amazing. You can do this." Da-da-da. I'm like, yes, I got this.
No, Jacob, and the one thing that I don't wanna go overlooked is that you lead by example. You show up every Tuesday, you're willing to role play, you're willing to get better, you're willing to develop, you're with your team like, "Hey, let's do," and you're not okay, not every Tuesday, but majority of Tuesdays, you're like, "Let's get better today." And you're the one
I
that's
see him every Tuesday,
every Tuesday, unless he's obviously traveling.
unless he's
Alright.
on his
That's
big
right.
fancy
That's
trips
right.
that he's earned.
That's
Which,
right.
bye. Don't be on a training on that day. Be in Hawaii.
No,
Still jealous
disconnect.
about that. Still jealous about the Hawaii thing, but that's okay. I'm gonna let that go.
But you're doing
Haven't been there
yeah,
yet.
you're doing kick-ass, man, and you guys are fun to watch, you're fun to work with, and we appreciate the hell out of you. So, I wanna know
We only touched on one topic though. We said if there were one or two things that you would change,
so
opening
he said all in.
all in.
Yep. Is there anything else you would do differently?
Yeah.
Are we talking from year one? Or are we talking from now?
From
Speaker's choice.
I would say from now, like, over your 3 years of experience, is there anything you would have done differently besides going all in from day one?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing would be never retreating. I'll be a little bit vulnerable with you. One of the biggest challenges that I faced this year was we saw the market retreat. We saw our company retreat a little bit. And I use it as a sign myself. Hey, maybe it's just not the right time. Let me just pull back a little bit. I can finally drink from this well that I've been trying to build, and it's got some water in it. And so let me take some of my first sips and quench that thirst. And I think that is one of the biggest regrets that I've got this year is pulling back on some of that and not continuing to push forward, because you feel those effects in one way or another. And it may be 1 month, it may be 6 months later, and you're saying, darn, I wish I would have just kept pushing forward. I don't like these numbers that I'm seeing here, and I think I've got an idea of what's going on. So I think that would be the biggest takeaway that I've taken from this year, and I'll never make that mistake ever again. I'll never retreat ever again. I'll push forward and push through any obstacle that comes in our way, because guess what? There's going to be somebody else that's going to say, you know what? Well, let me take this as a sign, and we'll be there to capitalize.
So when you say retreating, talk to me a little bit about what that means.
Really, it all boils down to marketing money. Getting 10 leads instead of 20, dialing it back a little bit on the presence management. As far as just the displayed ads that maybe aren't directly lead sourcing. Just top of like brand awareness type stuff.
Mhm.
And so again, I wouldn't pull back on that ever again personally.
So you're saying because the market tightened up a little bit, you pulled back on some of your marketing
Mhm.
spend, and if you did it again, you wouldn't pull back, you might even go a little bit more, put foot to the gas, let's go all in on this?
100%. I saw a company say, "Hey, we're done with subsidies for now." Right. So I said, "Oh, well, they don't want us to get internet leads. Maybe I shouldn't get internet leads." Well, internet leads have more value than just building your business. It's a mentality. I was built on internet leads. I've got a hunter's mentality. And so I do that every day, whether it's in office, whether it's on the weekends or even after work, right? I'm always hunting in some way or another. And so I think internet leads serve a purpose. They build that hunter's mentality. And if you can close an internet lead, for Pete's sake, especially right now, you can close anything. Whether it's a referral, I mean, whatever it is, that's easy, right? So I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned this year, and I won't make that mistake again.
So I think one of the best things as a business owner that we can do is share when we're in a red flag season, so that other business owners can know, like, oh, I'm in a yellow flag. I need to start paying attention to things. So tell us a little bit about how you knew, oh, I need to actually reinvest into internet leads. Like, what was happening in your business that you realized there is a problem here?
Yeah, numbers just started trending downwards. Realistically, same good conversations were happening. Same closes. I mean, same. You weren't looking at this large influx of like auto only business or fire only business or anything of that nature, but you saw just that overall production start trending downwards. And now you're going back saying, oh, we didn't need less. We needed more to continue on the pace that I was on. Less isn't going to cut it. And so now we're having to dig ourselves out of this hole, and we're full-fledged in it right now, and we're going to dig, damn it. We're going to dig. But, it's not easy. I'd rather be right now in June or July feeling, hey, we're on top of the world. But we've got some adversity to overcome this year. So, I think that's the biggest thing for us.
That's a tremendous takeaway. I was going to ask you what your aha moment was this year. It sounds like you just gave it to us. Like that's your aha moment is look, don't retreat. Like stick with the plan. And it's kind of like the old saying I believe Warren Buffett says is when people are greedy, be cautious, and when people are cautious, be greedy. And don't I don't know if that's the exact quote, but something to that nature, and that's exactly what you're hinting at. While the rest of everybody pulled back, we should have just went full force, like let's get this shit.
Gangbusters.
Yep.
But I like to, as an entrepreneur, it's hard to know. That's why I was asking about the yellow flags and the red flags, because in business, there are seasons. And so it can be hard to navigate the line between, is this just a season or is there some things that I need to be changing? Like what do I actually, what's the recipe here?
And that's a good point, Courtney, because we've had this leadership conversation for quite some time, as in who I am now and who I'm becoming and who I used to be and what does my business need, right? And perhaps it was a season. We had a wedding in Cabo, we had travel, we had all these things cooking. We were traveling the world, for lack of a better term. And it was great. It was great. But I know, what did you say, Michael? That doesn't fit our financial plan right now. Retreating did not fit our financial plan right now. Who I wanted to be next year and the year after was not someone who retreats. It's someone who pushes forward. We've got grand visions here in our office. And so to be able to do so, it's going to take some exemplary actions. We're going to have to rise above realistically.
There is something that I can hear in your voice, and I want to make sure that I emphasize this, because as entrepreneurs and as human beings, we don't listen. As we ask questions a lot, but we don't listen for the answer. I can hear fire. And anytime you're at that season of, I am digging myself, I am overcoming adversity, I will get out of this hole, ride that mother effer into the sky. Because when you are building that fire, that momentum will carry you super far. So you answered the question. If it's a red flag or a yellow flag, I don't know that it actually freaking matters. When you need to like make shit happen, and you just got to go with it.
I was going to say, like, the only thing that takes you out of red flag or yellow flag season is action.
Yeah.
Like, just take some serious freaking action, because that's the only thing that's going to pull you from the place you're currently not happy with to a place where you want to be.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, God. There is nothing that I love more. And I'm not saying that this is where you're at, but there is something to this effect. There's nothing that I love more than a person who has just gotten tired of their own shit, that have gotten tired of excuses and tired of being comfortable and just tired of like every day that they decide, I'm going to change it. I'm going to be the one that comes in and I'm going to make it happen. And this whole conversation, I'm already glad I did my workout, because I'm like, man, I would do it again and I would absolutely murder it. Nobody would be able to touch me in a bikini. I would be so hot. So hot. That's all. I'm over my own shit right now with my health. So it's coming through in all my interviews. So we're going to relate that to money. Same kind of day, That's what we're all searching for.
Exactly. Anything that is on your to-do list for goals, I think it's worth it. It's just worth pushing forward and getting it done. It's so much more meaningful and impactful to be there on the top of that hill and a season of victory than to be, like you said, just tired and just done with your own shit. Just got to pick yourself back up and climb back up there. So we're excited to do that. The team's excited to do that. And, this isn't the last you've heard from us. That's for sure.
I love these so much, because there's so much that can happen when you look at a year, especially in the insurance space. So we're recording this in June, And from June until even September, your business can look completely different. Like all you need is one simple decision to say, I'm going to be better. I'm going to take action. I'm going to invest in this. I'm going to go all in, because you've already hit on there are aha moments that completely change who you are and the direction of your career. This episode, you listening right now, could be your aha moment. Like that is incredible that at any given moment, we have the opportunity to have a completely different set of circumstances.
Yep.
That doesn't fire you up. Jesus H, I don't know what will. Okay.
Hey, that pressure's a privilege. You know,
yes.
For your future you, for your family, for your team, all that pressure is a privilege. What can we do? Who can we impact? Whether it's your team members, your family, your communities, it's all there for the taking. You just got to go out there and get it.
And it really is amazing what you can do in a short amount of time when you're intentional. When you're intentional, you have a goal at hand and you just do action every day in alignment with that intention. It is amazing what happens in your business when everything is aligned and everybody's on the same page. They're all focused on the same destination. Let's go get shit. Let's go make it happen, baby.
All right. So you're in this like gangbusters all out. Tell me what the conversation with your team is like and tell me what you're focused on.
Well, right now that conversation, it really is just that transparent awareness of where we are. They've got to know where we're trending and where we need to be. So I think transparency is a large tool that I use, you know, within leadership in my business to let my team know, hey, this is where we're at and where we should be. And this is what it's going to take to get us there. They've got to know what the issue at hand is or why I'm saying, hey, we need more calls. We need more quotes. You know, we need more onboarding appointments. Hey, let's get more customers in-house and get them meeting with us, right? So they've got to know the why behind while they're bleeding for the office. You know, why is it? Because it's not easy. It takes energy. It takes effort. It's exhausting, especially when you're trying to bear yourself out of this hole, especially in this insurance environment. I mean, nothing's easy. I don't walk out and hear, oh yeah, you know, $5,000 a year. That's great. Let's go ahead and close it. Let's do it. You know, you're $1,000 more than the insurance we have now. You know, it is a scrappy conversation. You know, it's explaining what they have versus we offer and why our recommendation is what they should take, right? Or, you know, those are some of the biggest challenges that are currently on the books.
Jacob, Big Premium Morales delivered today, baby. You crushing it.
So if you had one action step that you would want our listeners to do, what would you tell them? Like one thing, go out and do this today. What would it be?
Go all in. Make a choice. Get to the dock, get on the boat before the freaking ship sails away. Because once it sails away, it's too late. You've got to decide, and you've got to decide now, and you've got to move fast. This business, it evolves quickly. And so, you know, every second matters when it comes to a decision. And so be confident in your team, be confident in yourself, you know, because realistically, that's who you're working for. And so make the move, be rewarded by it, and go celebrate yourself and your team and, you know, make it all worth it.
This was a fiery episode. This had a lot of nuggets, had some grit, loved it. Love your transparency, Jacob. You're doing a tremendous job. We appreciate you very, very much. For all of those of you tuning in today, I would love to know your biggest takeaway. Are you going all in? 816-727-7610. Text me right now. All in, baby. Jacob, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you so much for your time today. Time and attention are by far the most important assets that we all have. And we appreciate you spending time with us today. Go make it great.